Hey, 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 how's everybody? How are you, Alex? What's going on?
Hey, what's going on? I'm good. I'm good. How's everybody? Monique King, what's up, baby?
Yeah, thank you, Monique. Thank you for always being such a consummate moderator. You and Ellen V. Thank you so much. Man,
Yeah.
I just want to say before we get started, so I'm gonna give the best show, the best live that I can. But those of you out there, whether you're listening now live or whether you listen and hear us on the replay, put some yellow hearts in the chat or in the later on in the comment section. I just lost a very dear, close family member, and I won't say right now my dear brother's name because not everybody has been notified, and I don't think it would be fair for somebody to find out possibly on a live stream when they're not aware of his passing. So I just ask that everybody would lift up his family in thoughts and prayers. And I really appreciate all of you that will do this. Thank you so much.
And we just want to, Aubrey, give our condolences to you and your family. Here to your YouTube family, your actually Aubrey family. You have all the support and love that you need. Of course, if you need anything, you know how to reach me. I'm pretty sure Jeremy is also available if you need him as well. And my hearts are just with you. And unfortunately, this is part of life. We all have to deal with it. But we share with you those heavy hearts today.
I appreciate that. I really do. I truly appreciate that, and thank you for saying and for standing in the gap. I really appreciate that. Um, Well, so we're here back today to talk a little bit more about Put a Ring on It and the developments that outside of the show that we're seeing in real time because we know when we suspend our disbelief that actually the show was filmed months ago, right?
Yep.
And we come up on Instagram and we see that beautiful Sharlana is thank you, Roro. I appreciate that. I really do appreciate that. She's given her condolences.
Yes.
Um, we see that Sharlana is pregnant, looks like several months pregnant, with her fiance Otis's child.
Mm-hmm.
And while as a woman, I've experienced this pregnancy a few times and was grateful to have children, healthy children. As a mother and as a woman, I'm very, very concerned that Charlie would allow herself to become impregnated by this man Otis, who doesn't really seem to care about her feelings. What do you think?
Well, I'm very concerned. Obviously, from a human perspective, I wish them the very best. That they're bringing an innocent child, into the world, and we wish for a happy, healthy child. Um, but between their relationship, I'm totally unconvinced that um, Otis is capable of being what Charlana needs, and I just don't think he's there. I think he said what he thinks she needed to hear, or what she wanted to hear. But I
Hmm.
don't think that came from his heart. I don't think it came from his soul. And Charlana, because that's what she wanted to hear, she fell hook, line, and sinker because she wanted to hear it. And a lot of people in these relationships, and I've seen this time and time again in my 50 plus years, that people that are on the rocks in their relationship, on the brink of disaster, will bring a baby into this mess, hoping that a baby will mend the relationship and bring them closer together. And far too often, that backfires.
Yeah, again, I just say, exactly what you just said, Alex. Absolutely. I think that yeah, you hit the nail on the head. I think that brother Otis, I feel like he's very much into himself. He's very superficial. He's all about how do things look, how do they make me feel, me, me, me. Sharlana obviously is a very beautiful young woman. She appears to be quite a bit younger than he is, and she's very youthful, very beautiful, and very vibrant. But the problem, as I see it, in my opinion, with Sharlana is she's not using that God given intuition that she's been blessed with. She shows at every step in this 11-week process, she has shown that she is fearful of a future with Otis. And that's why I say I'm really saddened that she would allow him to impregnate her. And in this case, I know we all always hear oftentimes about women who are trying to trap men with the baby. It appears to be Otis that was trapping her. And I don't believe it's not one fiber in my body that actually believes that Otis is going to marry this young lady, because he has accomplished what he wants with her. He has a lifelong tie with her via that baby,
And
via
that's
that
the key.
child.
That's
Hmm.
the key. A lot of men, and I when I come on here, I always speak truth, whether it's about men or women. Okay. And it's not always popular, but the truth is the truth. Okay. A lot of men impregnate women just to lock them down so they'll be part of their life forever. It doesn't mean they're going to be a good father. It doesn't mean they're going to support the child financially or emotionally. It doesn't mean none of that. What it does mean is that he's going to be attached to this woman for the rest of his life. So even if they break up, the child now becomes a tool to distract her from dating or to interfere in her life as she moves forward. He's going to start saying stupid things like, I don't want another man around my seed, or I don't want another man around my child, and all this other kind of stuff.
Right. He's
You
gonna try,
know,
he's gonna further control her, because we've already seen, would you agree with me? And I don't want to put words in your mouth, so I'm gonna ask it as a question. Would you not agree with me that we've already seen that Otis is very manipulative, from his fake crying tears to just everything about him? He's very, very manipulative.
never saw a tear, not one. Dry. He busy crying. Face dry as the desert.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
but he crying though. So
Well, he went and plucked himself in the eye. If you notice in that scene, he kind of plucked himself in the eye and kind of managed to pull some redness out of his eyes a little bit. He took his little thin nail and kind of said, "Oh, let me poke myself in the eye here. Let me poke myself. Maybe look this a little better, so I don't look like a Karen."
and
But he's very manipulative. He
and,
no,
and
I'm so seriously, he's very manipulative, and he's managed.
manipulative and
He's
petty.
it's very petty, and so is Sharlana.
Yep.
Sharlana is very petty, not the manipulative part necessarily, but I feel like she's very petty. I feel that she doesn't understand Otis, because if you were to understand Otis, so here's the thing: when we saw Otis in this whole family situation, which that's another thing I wanna get to too, with a few people in this these couples, and Sharlana is one of them. We've never seen, if anybody's noticed, we've never seen one family member for Shalana. Not a one.
Right.
Not a single one.
She may
So
already
that
be. She may already be isolated.
exactly. That's where I'm going with that. This is my point. She may be isolated. She may or may not, and I don't want to throw any stereotypes on anybody, but oftentimes in this day and age, there are many people who've grown up without the aid of a father figure. Um, and that's just what it is. And so sometimes when you have that type of situation and that type of backdrop, we as women, we are craving that masculine energy. And Otis, of course, certainly comes across as very masculine,
Yeah.
masculine to the point of toxicity,
Hmm.
and stoic and emotionally unavailable. But what I was going to say is, to come back to it, is that when we saw Otis with his father, I honestly believe, and please forgive me, Mr. Otis, for using this word on you, but this is what I think your son actually thinks of you. I believe he thinks that when his mother was alive and she would browbeat you and she would argue with you and you would give in, because to keep the peace and keep yourself married to this woman, whether it's for the sake of Otis or whether because you just loved her that much and you just said, okay, I'm going to let it go. I believe that your son Otis looks at you as a simp, and because he views you as a simp, he has determined in his life that he will never allow a woman to tell him what to do. And if anyone has noticed the harsh way that Otis reacts to Dr. Nicole during the therapy sessions, and particularly on in the one-on-one. He does not like her. He does not respect her. And that is how he feels about all women. And I've mentioned this to you on this podcast before. Pay attention, ladies, to the women who do the I'm sorry, the men who do not like women. They will have sex with you. They will use you, abuse your body. They will take your youth and your years and your time and your tears, but they do not like women. Pay
Mm.
attention.
And,
Pay
and,
attention.
and I'm gonna tell. I've slept with women I didn't particularly care for when I was younger, and that's not difficult for men to do. A lot of times, it's difficult for women to do. Women won't do that. If she don't like a guy, she don't feel an emotional connection or some attraction or whatever to that guy. Most women are not going to lay with that guy unless they're extremely emotionally damaged.
I
Yeah.
want to I want to stop you just for a second, not
Mhm,
to be rude or interrupt you, but I want to
mhm,
say this because I think I don't want anyone to misunderstand what I'm saying. I'm not talking about women or men who sleep around, who are promiscuous, who sleep with people they don't care about, who sleep with one night stands. What I'm specifically referring to, Alex, is a man who does not like women at all. What
right.
I am
Okay.
saying is Alex does not Alex Otis does not like women. He does not like women.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that he's gay. I'm
Mhm.
saying that he lays down with women, but he does not care about them. He has an issue that goes all the way back to childhood, in my opinion. And this has turned him into this basically a monster.
Well, I believe his mother set the tone. God rest her soul. We didn't know his mother, obviously. We just know from the conversations with
Hmm.
his father that she was
Yes.
very domineering, very outspoken. She yelled and screamed a lot, as we know from the conversations with Otis's father, and that's how he grew up with a woman basically dominating the man. And like you said, he grew up thinking that's not going to be me.
Right.
I'm not going to be a punk or a wimp or a simp like my dad. And he made it very well known. He's not communicative with women. He cannot hold an interesting conversation. He's
Not at
control.
all.
He's control.
Boring as watching paint dry. I'm sorry.
It's like watching the clock change hands or whatever, or switch hands. They're just boring.
Boring.
Very, very, very stoic. Okay. Passive aggressive, very, because we've seen that with the Salmon and all that stuff. Very passive aggressive. He got a lot of stuff going on. But here's where Sharlana makes the mistake that a lot of women make. Okay. I'm going to get pregnant and have a baby, then maybe he'll act right. Okay. And I've seen this numerous times and it just don't work. And I wish women stop doing that. The baby is not going to make this man act right. It's going to make him worse because now 9 times out of 10, you're the one in the house with the baby while he runs the street. Okay. And looking for other conquests. Okay. That's what's going to happen because now he know where you at. You're going to take care of the child. You're going to be home nursing the child. You're going to be holding down the household. And while he's out pretending to be taking care of the house, I guess from a monetary standpoint or whatever it is that he's doing, he's out seeking out other conquests and doing what he do.
Well,
So
as we see in the reunion coming up,
right,
that he's
right,
been not only in that young lady's DM, but apparently he has met her outside of the show.
right, exactly right. So they're both, this is a petty pregnancy because they're both petty. And they're both
Well,
trying to figure out ways to stay in each other's life at the cost of an innocent baby. And that's the part that really pisses me off because you're going to bring an innocent child into a mess.
it's a mess. It's definitely a mess when a man tells you when you come back from a situation that you two both agreed upon, which was to be on this show, and knowing what the premise is that you're going to date other people to figure out if you really should pop the question and be together. And she comes back from her first date, and Otis takes her flowers and throws them in the trash, and then tells her, and you're nasty, go take a shower. And not only that, but he takes the 5, 6, 7, 8, 12 pounds of salmon that he just baked and made
12,
for the two of them. And
12
now
pounds.
and now he's going to eat it all and tells her to eat the leftovers, and she actually does this. She thinks
Mm,
that this is going to get better. I mean, I felt like there was physical violence at hand on that first episode when I saw that. So no, I don't think it's going to get better, dear. And I don't
mm.
know, I'm saying this is in my opinion, allegedly. I could see it on the perimeters, because anytime a man will verbally abuse you to a certain degree of that nature, he's letting me know that it's in his spirit that he doesn't mind going to that next level, and that next level is laying hands on you. But yeah, he'll wait maybe till you have that baby, and then he'll be slapping you all around the place, allegedly.
But
I don't see Otis being a good father. And I know Jeremy, we talked about this the other day when we reviewed the actual episode. Jeremy thinks that he'll be a good dad, but there's no way you can be a good dad. And I'm going to say this, I'm going to go a step further as a parent and as a woman and as a mother. There's no way you can be a good parent if you don't treat the other parent fairly and you don't treat them with respect. Otis does not treat her with respect. He does not treat her fairly. So there's no way he's going to be a good parent.
well, let me say this to that. So in order to be a good parent, and specifically a good dad, because I'm a dad, okay,
Okay.
you have to bond with them children from day one. What do I mean by that? Okay, that child has to lay on your chest constantly. All my children laid on my chest as infants consistently, feeling my heartbeat, listening to my heartbeat, listening to my voice, developing that bonding period. Okay, outside of whatever their mother does, she has her own way of nurturing and bonding. But as a
Yes.
father, you have
Yes.
to do that and have an emotional tie with your children. And I don't think Otis is emotionally capable of doing that. Okay, because that takes a lot of time, effort. You have to be selfless,
Right. And
unselfish.
that's not something he's familiar with, being
No,
selfless.
he's not. He's not used to being selfless. He used to being selfish,
Mhm.
but not selfless. Okay, so infants, babies, when they need you for everything. Okay, and you can't just put that on the mother and say she'll do it, she'll do it, she'll do it. And then when the child gets older and closer to the mother, you upset. I'm still your father, but I'm still your father. You can't cry that when he's 20 years old because you didn't develop a bond with him. You didn't connect with them early in life. You would see, I always tell people, you can be there but not present. There's a difference. See, you could be in the house with your child for 15 years. But if all you do is watch football, basketball, what, and the mother has the child and so forth, you sit, yeah, you in the house, but you're not present. You're not part of the family. You're not interacting. You're not engaging with the child and with your spouse. So, for all
Right.
intents and purposes, you're not there.
Yeah. Well, right. It takes, right. It takes, we're not going to use the actual idea, the antiquated idea of like in fences that a father, it's enough for a father to be a provider and a protector of his family, of his wife, of his children. We're not going to go with that. This is 2022, and all science shows that it takes more than that. Like Alex pointed out, a very great example, what you said is that child, that baby, that infant laying on your chest, listening to your heartbeat. That is something I have found, as even as a woman, that has bonded me to a man, is to lay on his chest and listen to his heartbeat. So
Mm,
I know I can only imagine what it would be like as an infant to lay on my father's chest and hear his heartbeat. Okay.
right. That's
I
right.
know as a I know as a mother, like you said, there's different things that men and women do different things differently, and children bond with us in different ways because we created differently. My children bonded with me at my breast, at my nipple from the first day because I breastfed both my children.
Mm-hmm.
And that is one of the greatest gifts God has given women. But so many modern women say no. None of my girlfriends breastfed their children when we were having children. None of them. Oh, it's going to make your breast do this and that. Never had that problem. I tell you that. But
No.
that's another story
Oh
for
yeah,
another
it's gonna.
day.
Oh yeah, it's gonna. It's gonna make your breast. It's gonna make your breast sag and this that.
Nah, yeah, I never
We
had that. I never had that problem. I never
yeah.
had that problem. I always had perky boobs. But
And, and
anyway,
and women say that about women. That's the crazy thing. You
I,
know,
I think that women, a lot of people really don't know the science. They really, and this is true of men and women, they really don't understand their bodies. But I would say, I will go as far as to say this, and we'll get off of this topic. But for me as a mother, and while I was carrying my firstborn, my daughter, it was important to me when I read the science and the research behind it. And of course, our mothers knew it, because if you think back before, what were people using before there was formula? Right now in this country, there's a formula shortage, and women don't even know the simple recipe how you can make formula at home with distilled water, carnation
right?
milk, and some other things. And I won't get into that, so YouTube won't put no strikes on my channel. But that's a whole nother story. My pastor gave it out Sunday at church. But
Right.
anyway, but the point, what I'm saying though, when I found out, when I did my research, and as I was carrying my firstborn child, I wouldn't have cared anything about it if it did cause my breast to sag or what have you, because guess what? My child is my number one priority. And being selfless, that's a part of it.
Mm.
So I get very upset about two things: when men who have children with women dismiss the woman now because she looks a little bit different, her shape is a little bit different, and they don't love that woman because, maybe she gained an inch here or lost an inch there or whatever that thing is. But no, feeding my baby and nursing my baby was my number one joy in life. So that's how I bonded with both of my children. And I tell you another thing, my kids were never sickly. My girlfriends had babies, some of them that had asthma, they had this condition, they had that condition, they're allergic to this, they're allergic to that. My kids are not like me, they're not allergic to anything, and they never had asthma or any of those conditions. And not saying that breastfeeding is going to cure that, but I'm just telling you my experience.
Yeah, and I'll just add this, and we can move on.
Mm-hmm.
It is the colostrum of the natural breast milk that enhances the child's immune system throughout life. That's what the child needs. That's the thing that formula can't emulate. That colostrum that comes from the woman's body. And that's
Yes,
why it's
that's
so
correct.
much more effective to breastfeed than to give formula. It's like you say, same thing with baby food. Okay, what did the children eat before baby food? Baby food is just strained food. It's real food. It's just strained and
And
squashed.
in a lot of cases, it's genetically modified. Let's just
That
go
too.
there.
That's another sub.
But
That's
but like
another.
I said, guys,
Yeah.
take a look. If those of
Mhm.
you that do have infants, because I do feel for you, that you have infants and you're looking for formula, there is a very simple recipe with distilled water for your babies, because there's no reason why you should have to not be able to feed your children if you decided for whatever reason, because some women can't, and that's a thing too. Some women can't physically, for health reasons or because they're on certain medications, they cannot breastfeed. So I do sympathize. But
Right.
and I would say, last two things. I will say this: it is a great thing if you're deciding, if you're pregnant now or you're considering breastfeeding. It was a great way to get my figure back, because every time my child nursed, my everything tightened up. Everything literally, just, you could feel it literally tightening up. So that and binding, but that's a whole nother story. We're gonna do a show on that one day with the nurse that'll come in, because we got to talk about binding, ladies. Here in America, we don't do binding like they do over in Africa and Asia after we've had children, and that's a very big point that we're missing. But that's a whole nother story. But back to these two. Is there anything else that we want to say about Otis and Sharlana?
I just want to say for them too that from what I've seen on the show this season, and we understand that there's things that's not filmed. I believe somebody put in the chat that Sharlana said that they actually filmed her and her mother, but they didn't show it on
Okay.
on the air.
I saw that comment, and I did post that. I
Yeah,
did put that up on the screen. Yes.
yeah. So we know that things happen behind the scenes and so forth. But as a viewer, from what we can see and the assessments that we can make from what we see, I don't see them making it for the long haul. I don't see Sharlana and Otis making it for the long haul. I see
Mm-mm.
this. I see the baby thing as a band-aid. It's a temporary fix because children are a huge, huge responsibility. They add stress to your life. Yeah, they can add happiness, but they
Yeah.
add stress because you're taking care of another human being who comes before you. That's what
Yes.
people don't understand. This child has to come before you.
They absolutely do. They absolutely do. And you're not typically, and I want to just say this too, typically, because I never saw those two people as individuals nor as a couple being ready for marriage, meaning Sharlana and Otis. I never saw that for them. I never saw, and this is the other thing I want to say about them before we move on. I never saw any growth in either of them this season. And I know it was what 11 weeks, but if you notice, we saw growth, and we're going to really talk about them. We saw growth in Shae and Alfonso. We did.
Mm-hmm.
We saw growth in them. We saw
Mm-hmm.
changes in their ways, and we saw acceptance of one another and movement toward how do I negotiate uh, from this man or from this woman what I need, because I love this person enough that I'm willing to compromise on some things that I'm doing and do them differently or not do them at all. And
Right.
he's willing to compromise because we want to be together. But we never saw that with Charlie and Otis. So
They stayed.
if you
They stayed petty the
they
whole
stay
season.
they stay petty and right, and this is what I was going to say. So to say to this, so to two people that I never saw ready as marriage, I did not see them either mature enough and ready for a child, either to parent a child in a healthy and whole way. Anybody can have a child. You could be 12, 13, and biologically you can be prepared physically to have a child, but that doesn't mean that you're prepared to parent a child. So, but
Right.
I wish them, I say all this in love. I say none of this to distress anyone, um, but just, I'm basically just calling it as I see it. And I wish Sharlana the best with the healthy pregnancy. And I just pray that she gets the guidance that she's going to need, because she's not going to be able to tolerate Otis and his cruelty, because he will be cruel to her because he feels like he has her trapped.
Yeah,
So,
because and the thing is that not only do I want us to look at them as a learning tool, a teaching tool, this is why we're doing this, but I also want them to look at themselves, and that's the harder thing for them to do.
where is my laugh? Yes, yes, right, right, right. And you're gonna fall out. Get ready. Hope you're sitting down, Alex, because
Uh
you're gonna
oh,
fall out.
what's wrong?
Can you read
Oh
what's on the
Lord.
screen? Can you read what's on the screen?
I'm not messing with him today. I'm not. I'm
Okay,
not. I'm
I'm
not
gonna
messing with
read.
Jeremy today. I'm
I'm
not
gonna
messing with
read
Jeremy
what
today.
Jeremy, our moderator and one of our co-hosts, has to say on the He Says She Says podcast. Jeremy says that's why swallowing the kids is the best option for me. I hollered.
I'm
I
not.
hollered.
I'm not messing with him today. I'm not doing it today with Jeremy. I'm not.
So moving
Oh
right along, like
Lordy.
I said, to Shae and Otis. What we had to say about Shae and Otis?
Yeah. I think we've said enough.
No,
Uh
no, no. I said Shae, and I'm sorry. I said Otis. I said Shae, but I meant to say Alfonso. I'm getting names
oh,
mixed up.
Shay and
Shae and
Alfonso.
Alfonso. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
said Shae. Yeah, I
Yeah,
was
yeah.
trying to say Shae and Alfonso.
Well,
Mhm.
in the beginning of the season, I had a lot of fun with Shay as far as her physical makeup, and I love which I love the way she looked. I love the way she shaped her figure and everything. But I would also make remarks about her intellect, her IQ, maybe not being up to par and so forth. And maybe that was fair, maybe it wasn't. Okay, but I should have understood that when people are
Mm,
thinking with their heart, their mind typically don't match up with their heart. When you are really really deeply in love with somebody, many times we can't think straight at all because we just in love. I used to have a motto, think with your brain and not with your heart, because you can't do that. And I believe that's what she was doing. So I would make remarks about her intelligence and things of that nature, her being dense and not too bright and so forth. But the whole time she really was thinking with her heart. And I think as the season went on
mm-hmm,
and she started to grow a little bit, and like you said, we've seen growth. Okay.
mm-hmm.
Week to week, we're seeing this growth to the point where she scared the mess out of Alfonso. She finally got to a point where he got scared because in the beginning of the season, he laughed at every damn thing. Everything she said, he would laugh. He didn't care. He out with the baby's mama. Shay never met his mama. He laughed and laughed and laughed. But toward the end of the season, he was not laughing that much, to the point where he just almost stopped laughing at all. Because I think he got to a point where he saw something in her that had shifted and that she got serious about, this is it, bro. We on TV now. If you don't get it right, I'm gone. Because not only did you embarrass me in private, now I'm embarrassed in front of millions of people in America. So if you don't get it right now, I'm done. So whatever it was that scared him, it scared him straight. So he wouldn't have got that ring.
Yeah, I think that you're right. I guess I'm looking at it from the viewpoint of, now whether these couples make it or not, whether any of them make it, and of course only two of them actually went to the length of actually proposing and becoming engaged. Whether any of these couples actually get married, that's only
Yeah,
God knows, because
right.
I kind of don't see some things in place for both of the couples. But I will say this though, I think that out of all three couples, Alfonso was clearly the man that cared more about his woman than the other two men cared about their women.
Mm.
Clearly, that even though he was living this kind of lifestyle, and I think, having doing these shows for over 6 months now, what I'm seeing is there's a culture, there's a whole culture for some black men that they feel like this whole thing of how many women I can lay, I can bed, I can add a notch to my belt, really makes them a man. So it's really going to be interesting as
That's
men
not a black
age.
man thing.
Uh,
That's a man thing.
Excuse me.
Hmm.
I'm saying this from the perspective what I'm seeing. And what
Okay.
we're covering, first of all, is predominantly they're all black shows. Okay, that's
Okay.
first.
Okay.
Secondly, I'm a black woman. I've
Hmm.
dealt with black men and others. Okay,
Right.
and what I'm saying is this is a culture. This is a culture, and I will say it again, of some black men.
Hmm.
Okay, because if you grow up with a dad who's this way, if you spend your time associating with men in your uh social economic group that are this way, and this is what you've surrounded yourself with, then that is it can become your worldview. Now many men I know who are also black, they don't have this worldview, but here's the thing, they also didn't grow up in that culture that is surrounding some black men. So notice I keep saying some black men.
Hmm.
So now whether some is a percentage, if we were to put a mathematical percentage on it, whether some is 50% of black American men, whether it's 25%, whether it's 75%, but it's a reality, and certainly black women and other women should be aware of it. And
Hmm.
what I'm seeing with these couples is that the women, now I want to talk about and put some onus on the women. The women, all three of these women are dealing with a certain level of delusion about their men and about their situation,
And about
uh,
themselves.
and about themselves. We'll start with, we go with Shae, for example. She has turned a blind eye and has accepted for 3 years that this man, see, first of all, it couldn't have been me, because I'm not spending 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 months with you and I haven't met your family. That's not going to happen. Okay, we're not going to date, and I call, and we consider serious. Now we're just dating, going out kicking it here and there, a ball game here, a movie there, every blue moon, and that's casual dating. Then that's fine. But we're seeing each other. Or I don't believe in shacking, but if I were to live with a man that wasn't my husband, there's no way I haven't met your family. There's just no way. That's me. That's my standard. Okay.
Hmm.
But I'm saying these women are living in a very delusional state, and they have accepted the culture that I was just speaking about, that some black men espouse to, that they grow up in, that they live in. It's in their homes, it's in their communities, it's in their schools, it's with their friends, and that's how their friends go run through women. That's what they do. So some black women at the same time are a part of this same culture.
Yeah.
And that's where, and for me, that's where the disconnect is, because I didn't grow up in that culture. I don't believe in that culture, but I have to recognize and accept that it exists, and even to the effect and to the point where I used to think that was just a young man thing, but you grow up and you grow into your 30s and your 40s and your 50s, and you see that this is a community and a culture that exists in older black men.
Well, yeah. But listen here. I'm gonna say this to that. Okay, as men and women obviously we're created differently. Okay, women are created to want to nest. They want to nest, build family. They want to nurture the spouse and the child. They're built that way. And some stay that way, and sometimes it get destroyed living in this society. Okay, men, we're genetically predisposed to desire multiple women. We have to make a decision at some point that we're going to have one woman and be faithful. But because we're visual creatures, okay, we're created to be genetically predisposed to want multiple women. That's why even today you have concubines, you have polygamy, you have all this stuff that's going on, whether in this country or other countries or whatever, where men have multiple wives, okay, because we just want multiple women. But we have to get to a point in our life where we say, listen, she's the special one. I'm going to be with this one. Because when I was younger and I grew up in a certain culture, as you alluded to, okay, my whole purpose for getting up in the morning, who can I conquer today? Other than going to work, what woman can I conquer today? That was my thing. That was every guy I knew, all my friends. That was our thing. Very few guys I knew growing up would go, nah, I got one. I'm going straight home after work. And we thought he was a simp or a punk because he was going straight home after work. And we out running women. Okay. So most guys, typically when you get into your late teens, all through your 20s, up into your early 30s, are going to be caught in that kind of cycle. It's when we get a little bit older and say, you know what? It's kind of past me. I'm physically getting tired, which is unfortunate. So I'm going to settle down and find one woman and have a child. And then you end up with the Walters of the world from Ready to Love DC, who wants to get in their late 40s and trying to find younger women to make babies with or whatever. Because now he's finally trying to settle down.
He
At that
says
age.
that. I think that's just his, and so the thing about that is getting back to this culture of this certain culture of certain types of men, um, they will say anything. That's the thing about um I'm gonna watch my language with this, but that's the thing about because you know what I would like to say, but I'm gonna be nice. I'm gonna keep it PG-13 for
Be
those type of
nice.
men. I'm gonna be
Be
nice
nice.
today, but I'm gonna do
You're
a whole conversation, and
because
I
because
ain't gonna
you're
be
a
so nice.
lady.
I'm
You're a
a lady, but
lady.
I may not be a lady when I do this particular. That's gonna be a girl talk. I'm gonna bring some women in, and we gonna get to the nitty gritty about the men. Okay,
Oh
yes, yes,
God.
yes. But anyway, anywho, I digress. But what I was gonna say is that what he's saying, what Walter is saying, in my opinion, that's some BS.
Mm-hmm.
That's some BS, and I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say it just as plain as day. In my opinion, that's some BS. But what it is, again, like you alluded to, or you said that your guys when you were that age and that age category, and they were into that. Um, that was their whole thing. Were conquering women. So how were they doing that, Alex? They were spitting lines. They were
Mm-hmm.
spitting lines. You're gonna be the most beautiful baby. You got the best body, the best breath, the prettiest hair. They want to get to know you. Oh yeah,
Born liars.
they'll tell you, right. They'll tell you, oh yeah, and I want to have a baby with you. I want you to have my baby, because also these same men that subscribe to that culture of sex with so many women, they also subscribe to the opinion that the more babies they have, the more manly they are. It's a very screwed up
You know
culture.
what's funny? You know what's
And
funny
and,
is
and if you falling for it, ladies, you got to remember, you falling for it, you screwed up too.
you know what's funny, but it's not funny. You know,
What's that?
I got friends of mine, and I used to run the streets with these guys, and they'll lay up with the same woman. I mean, this would be 7 days a week. She comes by, and they just having all this intimate time and blah 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 and all this stuff. 8 months later, she go, "I'm pregnant," and he says, "Well, how do you know it's mine?"
Exactly. That's what I'm
she,
about to tell you. Look Yeah, see, you're doing something that's out of order. You're doing something that's out of order. You're not married to this person. First of all, let's go back to what I said earlier in this podcast. You're laying with a man that has no respect, none, zero, zip, not for his mother, not for any woman walking on God's green earth, let alone you. You're just a body part to him. That whole term objectifying women, that's a real thing. That's a
Mm.
real thing. You're just a walking vagina.
But you
He
know,
doesn't care anything about you. So wait a minute, hold up. He
uh-huh.
doesn't care anything about you. So when he says that, well, how do you know it's mine? So now he gonna play you. You done lay
Mm.
down and had a baby with this man, believing what he's saying. Yeah, I want you to have my baby. We're gonna have beautiful babies. I'm gonna be this kind of dad, all this stuff. But you know in your heart as a woman, you know that your intuition is telling you, just like it told Sharlana, that this is not safe.
Mm. And she
How
did it,
do
and she
you
did it
know this
anyway.
man is safe? She
And
did
she
it
did it
anyway, and
anyway.
he did it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
They did it anyway.
Yep, they did it anyway.
And
Did
so
it
now we're
anyway.
gonna go. Now we're gonna go to another generation of screwed up people.
Right. But you know what I find, Aubrey, which is very interesting, like that you said. I find that guys that typically run a lot of women, even gangsters or criminals that run women or whatever, they have a huge amount of respect or reverence for their grandmother, their mother. It's an odd dynamic because these guys will run women all night, all week long, and get in front of their mother. Yes, ma. Yes, grandma. I mean, it's strange. So if you respect your mother and grandmother like this, why can't you respect the women that you're going to eventually or eventually going to be mothers and grandmothers? So it's a very strange thing I haven't quite figured out yet.
Well, I think one of the things is that people can't love another person. None of us can love another person more than we love ourselves. And many of us, regardless of what race, like you said, it's not a black thing, it's not a white thing, it's not an Asian thing, it's not a Hispanic thing. But here's the key: many of us really don't love ourselves.
Yeah, many
So,
don't.
and when you talk about men who are going through this culture of running through women and thinking that that's the thing, the first thing about them, we know that they don't love themselves, and we know that they're not mature. Because why? Because they cannot even operate in any type of self control. If you do not have self control, you do not have control over your life. If you do not have control over your life, you do not respect yourself. So, how can you respect someone else?
Yeah. And Aubrey, I spoke about this in one of our earlier podcasts. We've done so many at this point since November. It seemed like so long ago, but I've mentioned this a few times. When you mentioned earlier that Otis didn't really like women, I could relate to that when I was younger because I ran women because really deep down I didn't like women because of the way the girls in school treated me, the way the girls in the neighborhood treated me at the time. Okay, when I
Mm-hmm.
was younger, okay, they didn't
Okay.
treat me well. Okay,
Okay. Oh,
so
okay.
as I got older and began to flourish a little bit, got a little bit more attractive, and started buying my own clothes and things like that. I cared about my appearance, going to the barber shop, getting my hair cut, stuff.
Oh, okay.
As that started to happen, and the women found me more attractive, and then the more confidence you get, that helps in your game and how you speak to women. I was like, it's time for my revenge. Okay, because I
But
wasn't
what
treated well.
what put that thought in your mind? What put that thought in your mind? How do you go from I'm not treated well and now I'm going to mistreat other people, especially people that had nothing to do with your mistreatment?
Exactly.
What
Exactly.
put that what put that in your mind? Do you recall?
I don't recall what exactly put that other than they're going to pay now. Okay. Now, is it right? Of course it's not right because these women had nothing to do with what I went through in my childhood, but they were still women. So I was like, I'm going to get you back for everything this one here did to me. And I was young, immature. I wasn't cooked upstairs all the way to even understand why I was doing what I was doing. I loved them when I was with them. But then when I was done, I had no use for them. But one thing I will say is that when I really caught feelings for one, I treated them very well one on one, but I still cheated. But I treated them very well. That I will say, if that makes any sense. So treating
Hmm.
them very well is what held them. They say he does a lot for me. He takes me shopping. We go on dates. He's there for me to speak to. I cry on his shoulder. I do all this kind of stuff, but he won't stop cheating. So it's a strange dynamic. I've been there, and that's why our lives are classrooms. It's not
Hmm.
it's not a
Absolutely.
thing. It's not a thing where I'm bragging about it. I don't want anybody to ostracize me for it, but I'm being open and honest because this is the environment that I grew up in, and many have grown up in, and even affluent men. Of course, affluent men got the pick of the litter. Are you kidding me? So when you're an affluent, successful man, faithful, what is that? So it's like, it's a difficult thing to get away from. It really is.
Have you been able to get away from it?
At this point in my life, yes, because my second wife adored her, never cheated on her, ever. We on movie sets with beautiful women. We're going to meetings and gatherings, beautiful women all over the place because we make movies, right? Never thought about anybody but Stoney. Never went back home with Stoney every night. We went to the set the next day together. Just into my family. We had our child. At that point in my life, I was done with all the running women. So you just have to. It's you go through stages, but you have to get to a point where it's about making a decision, regardless of what your loins are telling you. You still have to make a decision to do something. You don't walk down the street and trip over a crack in the sidewalk and fall down in a woman's vagina. That's not how that works. You have to decide to do that.
Th- Thank you for sharing that. That's very some very personal information, and I do appreciate you for that. I can't be angry with you for sharing your truth. And like I said, I recognize, and I have before this show, but certainly watching this show, like I said, again, there is a culture. Um, there's a question Roro has for you, if you don't mind answering.
Uh
She wants to know, did all the girls treat you poorly or in that way, or just the ones that you were attracted to?
I think
Did
the ones I was attracted to treated me that way, and the other ones just jumped on the bandwagon.
hmm,
So it made me angry at all of them because even the ones that I wasn't attracted to, if they were friends with the girl I liked, they jumped on the bandwagon.
okay. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry that you were mistreated, because that's clearly it's mistreatment to tease or pick on someone because you don't like their appearance, you don't think they're cute, or they don't have the designer clothes that you think is so in vogue this minute, and next minute it's something else stupid and even more atrocious looking.
Right.
Um, that's wrong. I mean,
Right.
that's wrong. I'm gonna I'm gonna give you an example. We're gonna move on, but I'm gonna give you an example. So one summer, my daughter, who, like, remember I told you about how my kids went to these STEM programs and they went to colleges in the summertime. So kids have those. You've had kids. Your father.
Right.
That they'll have a growth spurt in a minute, and all the things that they had from the previous year, which were really a little bit too big from the previous year, now all of a sudden everything is too small, right?
Mm-hmm.
And my budget, it really wasn't in my budget for a lot of money that particular summer. I think I think that was maybe her sophomore year. She was a rising sophomore, so she might have been about 15. And so I had all of maybe an extra 25, $30. Um, and I took her to, oh, don't anybody tell my daughter, but I took her to I took her to a consignment, or a thrift shop, right, in our
Right.
community, which was a nice one, but still a thrift shop. And she's in there like she got her hoodie on, putting her hoodie up, like, we going in there. She put her hoodie up to hide her identity, and she took that little $30. I told her, look, we got $30. Get what you can get. You need some shorts, you need some khakis, or this or that, whatever, whatever. And my daughter, who has always had an eye for fashion, she shopped, she went around in that store and she got her things together. And it was so funny. So when I went up to visit her for the program, one of the instructors said, "Oh, your daughter is just so lovely. She dresses so wonderful. Where did she get these fancy clothes from?" And I looked
Mm-hmm.
at my daughter and I looked at this lady, this teacher, and I said, "Do you want me to tell her?" And she said, "No, that's okay, Ma. That's okay. That's okay." I wasn't gonna tell her anyway. But I get it. I know what it is. I know what it feels like. To have different clothes. To
Mm-hmm.
not fit in or to wear something different. And honestly, that happens. That happens. That happens
You know
with
what?
children.
Do you know what it's like to have? And a lot of people may or may not understand this. You
Hmm.
may have 3 outfits for an entire school year. You have to mix and match all year long. And I
Oh
mean, how much
wow.
mixing and matching can you do with 3 outfits?
You really can, because everybody at some point gonna say you got that blue pants, them
Right.
burgundy pants, and them black pants, and that's all you got.
And they would
Uh,
actually say it. Here go Alex with them blue pants again. Kids don't care. They
so
they're gonna come out.
Sabrina, your sister is kind of confirming that what you're saying. You're not exaggerating. She says that the children terrorized you.
And that's why I fought every day. I have fights every
Wow.
day, sometimes 2 and 3 times a day. So it was crazy. It was crazy. I mean, I could laugh about it now because I'm not like scarred by it. It don't, it don't make me who I am. It doesn't define me. Nothing. I'm past it. I've done the work. So I can laugh about it now. But then it was not funny. It wasn't funny at all.
Yeah, yeah. So, but back to Shae and Alfonso. I see what they've made some concessions now. Whether Alfonso is actually going to give up the attention from all those other women, because, like I said, he falls into that category that I believe of men who has fallen into and fallen prey to a certain culture and allowed himself to stay in it. And how do you stay in a culture? You stay in it by who do you associate with? You are the collective of your friends. I mean, if they're thinking and their morals are low, it's going to be kind of hard for you to have higher standards and higher morals and make better choices.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's going to be a problem for them. But have I seen changes and adjustments in Alfonso? Yes, I've seen adjustments and changes in Alfonso. And somebody else has pointed out in the chat, Alfonso really, you can tell that he really has that adoration that you spoke of about your late ex-wife Stony. That adoration that a man should have for a woman in order for it to be long-term sustaining in terms of a marriage or even just a long-term relationship. You
Right.
really have to have that adoration. You really have to want that person in your life, because there are going to be days when we're going to just get on each other's nerves. Let's face
That
it.
just comes to territory.
It's gonna
Just
come
come
with the
with it.
territory. You're gonna get on my nerves. I'm gonna get on your nerves. And if you don't really just really adore me, you're gonna want to curse me. You're gonna maybe
Yep.
want to slap me. And
Yep.
that's gonna be a problem. And
Right.
vice versa. You know what I'm saying? If I
Yep.
want to curse you, call you out your name, and slap
Mm-hmm.
you, that's gonna be a problem. But if I adore you,
You
chances are more than not, I'm gonna catch myself and I'm gonna say, you know what? But that's my best friend sitting there, even if he is acting like a butthole. That's my
right.
best friend.
That's my best friend there. Yep. So that's true. Absolutely. I agree 100%. You know.
Now to the piece of the resistance.
One more thing,
Oh,
Aubrey.
go ahead about
One more thing
Alfonso
about Shae and
and Shae.
Alfonso.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If
Ooh.
Shae is going to accept him now moving forward and say, we're gonna move forward, I forgive you, whatever. Now you have to accept the fact that this man was cheating for 3.5 years. And we're gonna see this at the reunion. Okay. So if he's gonna spill his guts and confess his soul and all that kind of stuff, just because you didn't see it, you knew it was happening. So now, see, it's one thing to know something, but if you walk in on it, or if you see it come out, if you hear it come out of that person's mouth, it's a whole different reality. You see what I'm saying? You could pretend like you don't know it, much like Jamie and Urena from from
Mm-hmm.
from from Ready to Love, not Ready to Love,
From Love and Marriage
Love and Marriage
DC.
DC. Okay, she said, I never actually caught him, but I heard grapevine stories about what he was out there doing. See, it's one thing to think you know something, and another thing to actually walk in and see it or hear it with your own ears from the person that you've been in a relationship with, to say, I'm sorry, I've cheated on you. Because that's a
Mm,
different kind of reality. And I think
mm,
that that's what Shae had to deal with. Obviously, they filmed the show already, so she knows. But
Yeah. Oh yeah,
that
yeah, yeah. Now, I guess when I was saying, I was actually thinking of it and trying to put myself into those boots because for me, honestly, I don't think I have to see it or hear the sounds or any of that. I think if I suspect it and I follow through and look at some things and find evidence that there is an affair, we're gonna have to go head to head about whether there was one. And I'm gonna dig. And I'm this kind of person that when I decide to go down a rabbit hole, I go down it until I find what I need to find. So I'm
you
gonna
you, you
find it. And
you like
and,
a
and
dog
then
with a bone.
yeah, pretty
Mhm.
much, like I found my biological parents 30 some years after the fact when even the best detective in our state said there's no way that I can find them for you. I'm sorry. I won't even take your money because at the time when I was adopted there was what was called a closed adoption. And
Right,
that means that in lieu of a judge opening up these papers, you're not going to find them. But I found them. I found them.
right. See,
And that's a whole nother story time right there too. Because I
okay.
hear some people were talking about, I guess, Love and Marriage Huntsville last week's episode was Tiffany trying to find her biological father. That's a whole nother story. That right there, that old biological family. It is not. I'll just put it this way: it's not always what we used to see on TV on daytime talk shows, where you have this wonderful happy reunion and it's everything that you ever dreamed that it was going to be.
Mhm.
There's a mixed bag in there too sometimes, and sometimes there's even a dark bag in there too that's
Right.
not so wonderful and so Brady Bunchish.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
but okay, so are we ready to move on to our final piece de resistance, which would
Let's
be
go.
let's
Let's
go.
go.
Hey, we'll give a little hand applause there. Okay, so that would be oh Lord, help me with their names right now.
Shorty and Kenneth.
Thank you,
Shorty
sure.
and Kenneth.
I will do your interview, Aubrey and Alex. Now send me $350 right now before I get on the stage. uh
God, who now? Who was that? Who would say a thing
Kenneth,
like that?
Kenneth, no. We've had bigger stars than you on our stage. We ain't paying for no interview, babe. That's
Oh,
not happening. That is
oh
not
my
happening.
God! Why would he
You can
even
you
say
can
that?
kiss that $350 goodbye. I see why they shut down your other Instagram page too, dude. I should report your butt, but that's all right. I'm gonna leave you
Lord
alone.
have mercy. Why would that
Mm,
even come out of his mouth?
because why? Because he needs money. He needs
Mm.
money. And didn't that girl Shorty already tell us that? I mean, why would he steal her phone and send her banking information to his phone? Because
Well,
that's what he does.
Aubrey, you could be his sugar mama. That's what he's looking for, right?
I've never have been and never will be anybody's sugar mama.
No. Okay.
I don't do that.
He's
I
looking.
get taken care of. I don't take care of other people. The only two people I've ever taken care of are my children, and they are well grown. So that
Okay.
won't be happening. No,
Well,
no.
what do you think about these two before I get into them? Because they took us on a roller coaster ride for real. I mean, because one third of the season was spent with us, siding and feeling for Shorty. Then the middle of the season, we started to kind of understand and feel for Kenneth. And then at the end, we switched back to feeling for Shorty again. So this was a
Well,
real roller coaster ride. What are your
well,
thoughts?
my thoughts are, I said from early on, and I think that I've been vindicated. I said I think from either episode 2 or 3 that my opinion was that Shorty had experienced some more emotional verbal abuse and manipulation at the hands of Kenneth, and that she presented herself as I don't want to say a battered woman, but again, she's just been through. Like I think the big thing with Kenneth is that he was always taking these pictures and these videos, and we can see it on even on YouTube. He has put up, much to her chagrin, these videos that he took during a moment of vulnerability and comfort. If you're living with a person, and this is why I don't trust all that shacking up jazz, because people going through your banking information, your health information, taking videos, taking nudes of you, and then they post it when they want to. I ain't
Yep.
playing that. I'm not playing
Hmm.
that game because see, they would have to put me in prison. They would have to put me in prison because I got something for you, but that's another story. But
Right.
but back to those two. But I think that it's very creepy. But what I'm gonna say is that I think that Kenneth finally got his comeuppance, as they say in the writing business. He got his comeuppance because this lady basically she put him out there for the whole world to see. She talked about him. A lot of women didn't like that. She talked about him and she told the truth that he didn't hold up his end of the living arrangement. He didn't hold up his end of the financials. That she was tired of his peeing and his eggs and his hot wings. She was tired of that. A lot of women said, "Oh, you just mean, shorty. You just this, that, and the other. You're emasculating him." But I asked the question: what is the term? Does anybody know what the term is for the defeminization of women? What is that term when men dog out women verbally? What is that? When he sat there and he called her a dirty MFer, okay,
Mm.
a nasty MFer. He told her she was a little ugly. She was this, she was that. Did anybody complain about that? But here's what I got to say about Shorty. I got to say this about Shorty. My girl Shorty. I related to her in a lot of ways coming out of having been uh, in my past, having been abused by a man, okay? I related to her in a lot of ways and I was very sensitive to her. But one of the things I caught early on about Shorty when she started going on dates, when who was it, Tavi, that she was going
Yeah.
out with,
The neck tattoo.
the neck tattoo, the infamous neck tattoo, when she made the comment, "Oh my God, I lust after men with neck tattoos." And I'm paraphrasing, I'm putting it in my own words. I lust after, I desire, I think it's so sexy.
It turns me on.
It turns me on. It gets my panties moist and this and that and the other thing. I said, now, you know what? You are 40 years old, girl. Women, at some point, I'm sorry, when you get past 25, quit playing like you're a girl and act your age. Get you some grown woman drawers and become a woman. Because if you get hot just because a man has a neck tattoo, that makes you hot. Oh, hell, because he been in prison for 2, 4, 5, 10, 15 years. Oh, because he been in a gang, because he's slanging women and running through women, that makes you hot. Because he got swag, that makes you hot. But yet you do no vetting of said man. You move
Mm.
him in. You say that Shorty says on her very own IG live that she moved him in after 6 months, but they were dating long distance, and she couldn't do the proper vetting of this man until he was in her state. I call bullcrap. Has she
Mm.
heard of technology? You can find somebody across the world and you can vet them. Are you kidding me?
Mm.
Are you
Mm.
kidding me? With all this thing called Beyonce's internet, you can't vet a man? Nah, you're
Yeah.
playing. You're playing on yourself, Shorty. You're playing.
You
That's
know,
what I that's what I gotta say. I'm gonna hold her accountable because all of these women, like I said, they showed some level of delusion in all three of these women.
yeah. And I'll be very interested to know because as you said, these women like Shorty, they are pervasive with picking these types of men. See, I guarantee you, before Kenneth, she had another Kenneth. Okay,
Right. Right. She
so
talks about it. She talks
yeah,
about it in her IG live. She talks
you know,
about that for some reason. No,
yeah,
the reason is you're not
yeah,
vetting them, doggone it.
right, and
You like this. You like as Robo is saying here, you like the Dusties. You
yeah,
like the Dusties.
you
Dusties turn you on. Just
you
like
are
that neck tattoo.
you are the common denominator. So at one point, where do you start looking at yourself going, for whatever the reason, I attract these kind of men. I like peeing and eggs, and I like the excitement of it. And
Mm-hmm.
the high wears off after about 2.5, 3 years. The high starts to wear off, and I need a new drug. I need another
Mm-hmm.
hit, and another
Mm-hmm.
hit is another Kenneth. That's why Kenny said when she was talking about Tavi and all this stuff, Kenny was like,
Mm.
she said that about me early on. She said the same stuff about me. I agree with him 100%. I believe that 100%.
I had to, and I don't think, and I'm gonna say this, I don't think that Kenneth is a very truthful person in most of his statements, like all that dancing around. How is he gonna make it work financially? If we noticed that he never did say how he was gonna make it work, he just kept
Mhm.
saying, "Baby, I'm gonna make it work, and all I need for you is to be home when I come home with that smile, and when the man is mistreating me." It's always about the man when you're a
Mm,
black man and you don't want to work. It's always about the man. The man is
mm,
holding you down, got his foot on your whole neck. don't even know who you are, where you live, but he got his whole foot on your neck. But you can cook up those eggs and those hot wings though, and you can
Right.
serve that peen.
Right.
The man ain't stopping you from doing that, is he?
Right. Mm-mm.
Making these babies, but oh, never mind. But
Mm.
no, back to Shorty. Somebody, and this is really funny. Ellen V says that Shorty and Kenny are the same.
Are the same. They are
Wow.
the same. You know why she's saying that, Ellen? What's up,
You
Ellen
know,
V? What's up, baby? And you know why she's saying that? Because Shorty picks the same type of men and Kenny picks the same type of women. Shorty even
mm,
said, you go for women that are out of your league. She knows that about him. And she knows that as soon as he go out and set up shop someplace else, he was going to leave her anyway. If that woman he went to made more money, had a bigger house, had better circumstances, he'd have left Shorty in a hop, skip, and a jump. And then Shorty's going to go find another Kenneth who makes good who serves good peen and eggs. And,
we gotta
and
get that on a t-shirt. Coming
yeah,
soon. Coming soon as I get monetized. Coming soon. The merch is on its way.
yeah.
Peen and eggs.
Peen and eggs. Okay.
And peen and hot wings.
So, and that high takes a while to wear off because you're being dominated sexually. You have this sexual euphoria that you just hold on to for years until stuff starts to wane and get old. Because eventually, it's going to happen. You can't be on top of each other every day, all day. Okay, so Shorty has to figure out, why does she pick these kinds of men on a consistent, regular basis? Because she alluded to the fact that somebody I saw on some other chat where she said,
Mm-hmm.
I've tried to get rid of Kenny several times.
She said that, right? She said
Okay.
that.
So, okay, there's only one time to get rid of somebody. Why do you keep letting him come back is the question. Now, whether you're
Right.
scared or you feel scared or abused or whatever, if he gone, he gone. Stay out.
Yeah, I don't know because I don't know. Again, I never had to deal with mm, I never had to deal with the issue because I think I've said it before. I'm this kind of person. When I'm done with you, I'm very done. And there is no getting back. If I have to leave you, I'm getting away. I'm not giving you my address. Is there's too much technology nowadays. I know noticed she said that she had gotten a restraining order. She had changed her phone number. But see, here's the problem. If you're allowing somebody, because like right now she's basically saying, well, he's able to contact her through emails, and he's been leaving some very bad emails. I want to know, how can you block him from your emails? I've never had to really do that, but I blocked the person from just about everything they can be blocked from.
Mm-hmm.
And it was not a problem after that. And I'm
Right.
not saying that not all men will comply. I'm not saying that, because
Mm-hmm.
there are men that will go above and beyond, and whatever protection order you have, it is just a piece of paper. I do understand that, but I'm really not understanding how, if you put them out your house, if you move to another house, she's actually explained that she's moved, she's changed addresses and this and that and the other thing. I'm really having a hard time understanding, how did he get his clothes in your house?
How you end up back in bed with him after
I
all
don't,
this
I
protection
don't,
order and
I don't
calling the
understand.
cops and all this stuff you're going through to get rid of him? He always end up back in your bed with the peen and eggs the next
Mm.
morning.
Now, Ellen V has, not to cut you, Ellen V has an interesting comment here. And she says these shows are mostly watched by women. And I feel that it's easier for them to play on TV to get viewer sympathy. Are you, by them, are you meaning
Mm.
like people like the men in these three cases, or these three couples? Are you saying about Kenny? Yeah, a lot of women feel sympathetic. I was surprised by the number of women. But women, the thing about women that I find really sad, but some women, not all, some women, is that just like minorities, in terms of racial minorities, ethnic minorities, women being, having been treated as second class and third class citizens for so long across the world, and particularly in this country, because I'm speaking mainly about Americans, women have been conditioned, and a lot of women are not free thinking enough to understand where their conditioning came from, and they don't have the ability or the will to think differently. So like I'm always trying to understand like what is this they feeling so sorry for Kenneth about when he's an able-bodied man. He can go out and do anything and become anybody he wants to become.
But Aubrey, don't you know that being a hobosexual is a skill?
It is.
That's masterful. That
It
takes a
actually
lot of
is.
strategy. A lot of strategy goes into that.
It actually
Okay,
does. It
so
does because you've got to find because the first thing about it is you've got to find just the right woman. It's just like a Otis, and I'm not saying Otis is a homosexual because he has
no,
a whole
no,
job and a
yeah,
whole
yeah,
career.
yeah, he
But
does.
no, but here's the similarity though. Otis had to find just the right woman with the right amount of beauty to attract and please him to be a trophy on his arm, but he also had to find a woman with enough brokenness to accept his verbal and mental and emotional abuse and manipulation.
So you think Charlie is broken?
Absolutely.
Mm. Well,
Absolutely. He could
that's
never
heavy.
he could never do that to a fine, beautiful woman like my daughter. Who would he would if he saw her, he would appreciate and want her just as much, if not more than Charlie, but he could never have her.
You you
Because the
you
first thing about it, you ain't gonna be bossing my daughter around.
you know who would chew him up and spit him out?
Who's that besides
L-
Beyonce?
Lori Harvey. Lori Harvey don't play. Okay, she just broke up with my man Michael B. Jordan. Okay, she don't stay with guys long. As soon as she feel like, let's okay, it's not working. Later, she, she,
And she doing some stuff from back in my youth because she is only 25. You know that, right?
yeah, but she
She's
she do
only
not
25.
play. She do not
Well,
play with these dudes, man. It's
you
like
don't
these.
have to. Look at her. Have you seen her?
I seen her. Y'all know
Have
I
you
seen
seen
her.
Lori Harvey? She is
But
fine.
have you seen Michael B. Jordan? That's a sexy dude.
He fine too.
You
But
see what I'm
here's the
saying?
point. But here's my point though. She's 25 and he's 35.
Right.
Okay. So and
Mm-hmm.
some people are saying that you're saying that she broke up with him.
Yeah.
I'm hearing that he broke up with her, but it don't really matter
Don't
because both
matter.
of them are beautiful people and they're gonna find somebody else tomorrow.
Right.
Tomorrow.
Yeah. But the point I'm making is women who don't play that, they cut you real quick.
Oh
You
yeah.
know, they listen, all right, bro, it's over. And you think she going through a phase and you're gonna coerce your way back in? No, I said I'm done. You know,
Right.
so
How are you coercing your way? Who is this person that's coercing their way in, or are they finessing their way in, or what are they doing?
about Kenny has done that to Shorty numerous times, apparently.
Oh yes, and see, and then getting back because where we left off, I was saying that the two people are the same in their skill set, not necessarily in their career paths, but in their skill sets. A Otis and a Kenneth are the same about their skill sets because they are preying on women who are weak and broken. That's
Mm-hmm.
what they're doing. That's what they're doing.
Yeah.
You have to find a willing participant in order to play on somebody continuously because any one of us can be the most smartest person, can be an engineer, doctor, lawyer, Indian chief, and you can be played quite quite
Mm.
quite
Yes, you
simply.
can.
You can be
Yes, you
played.
can.
But for you to be played for 3, 4, 5, 10 years, a girlfriend, and he's saying, I'm gonna marry you, baby. It's coming, it's coming. I gotta take care of this. I gotta make sure my baby mama understand. I gotta make sure it's just the right time to introduce you to my mother. But for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years, you need just the right simp of a woman to play along with you in that game.
Right. And that's why it's masterful. It's strategy. Knowing over time, okay, it's the fourth month. Now I have to do this. Okay, if she does this during the 6th month, I have to do this. It's such a game to mess with people's heart and their mind. And it's really when you got their mind, and I'm gonna say this because I'm from the streets and all that kind of stuff. And what people always ask, how is it, because I know the pimp game very well. And people always ask, what is it about these women that's gonna stay out here on the corners all night and come give this dude her money? What's going on here? And the trick is any man, because we're bigger, we're stronger, we're typically more powerful. Okay. Any man can control a woman's body. The trick is to control her mind. See,
That's it.
that's the whole pimp game right there. Once you got
Mm,
once you got her mind,
pimp game.
it's over. It's pimp game. That's all this is. Okay, and if she starts to deviate and start even looking toward another guy, she's out of pocket, and you got to reel her back towards you. You know what I
Wow.
mean? Because if she looks at another guy, the term out of pocket means if she goes to another guy, that's taking money out of my pocket. That's what out of pocket means. You hear somebody say she out of pocket. That's what that means.
Really?
Right.
Really? I never knew that. So is that all part of pimping
That's
terms?
all part of pimping term. That's pimp
Am I
terminology.
learning something new
Yeah.
here? Okay. Woo! Lord have mercy. And you know what? And here's the thing. I always think about this. Like I said again, with women, with some women who are so conditioned that everything is male based and pro men and anti women, even though they're women themselves. I always think about and feel sorry for them because I understand that that's a conditioning in the mind.
Mm,
And it was Harriet Tubman, I believe, that said that she freed all the enslaved black people that she freed during the slavery times as she led them up north into Canada. She
mm.
said she could have freed so many more, but they didn't realize that they were enslaved. And
Bam.
I feel that way for women. Like you
Mm-hmm.
said, that's a mental thing that you feel like you're enslaved to this man who is, i.e., pimping you or
Mm-hmm.
running the streets on you, won't
Taking your
introduce you
money.
to his mother, his children, has no real use for you, but whatever it is to be a homosexual to live up in your place rent free. You know,
Mm.
you're enslaved, and unfortunately slavery has never ended. There's
No.
a slavery going on of some sort, whether it's a substance abuse or whether it's somebody mentally manipulating you and you're being enslaved and you're thinking, well, oh, but he's so fine though, or he's a ball player, or he's got this or he's got that, or at least I'm not alone. And that brings me to the two of the last things I have on my list. And I don't know if what else you have on yours, but
Mm-hmm.
someone was saying, okay, LMV is asking the question about, is it a crime if someone is let me go back to the one before that where Roro says that it was a weak excuse, but Shorty said that Kenneth was blackmailing her with some derogatory photos of her. um I don't know if they were nudes. That's a possibility because, like I said, he's living in your house, so now he got access to your body. Whether it's removing the sheet from over your body, you sleep without any pajamas on, and he's taking pictures. Or you're, a lot of women, a lot of men sending all these kind of pictures to one another, or taking pictures, or taking videos, and thinking it's cute, and never thinking about stopping and thinking about it's going to become an HR issue later
Public
on down the road.
information. It's public information. Once you hit that send button, it becomes public information.
It's public information. That's exactly right. So, and then to that, LMV is asking, was that a crime? Do pictures fall under revenge porn? Porn? I don't know, but you know what it can create. Like I said, on a serious tip, um, a lot of people do not understand HR issues. HR issues are really serious. If you have a job and you want to keep your job and you want to ever work for a corporate company and you're not self-employed, it makes a difference. Like issues with with pornography, without clothes on, with clothes on. Um, having just the image in the public community, and whether it's a crime or not, it could be a crime certainly to blackmail her. But the problem with that is, it's just like that piece of paper for that restraining order. It's a piece of paper, and if he puts it out there and it's published, maybe they'll be able to trace it back to him. Maybe they won't. Maybe they won't even care. Maybe the police department is too bogged down with more serious crimes. I won't say real crimes, but serious crimes like murder, like
Yeah.
rape.
Right.
Maybe they're
Exactly.
too busy investigating that, and their police force is too small to be worried about somebody published a new picture of you that you foolishly decided to take in the first place.
Look, you know what? It's funny because when Donald Trump was president, and of course we know his wife is, I can't recall her name, the foreign young lady who he's married
Mm.
to, right?
Ugh.
And
Oh, no, that was the first wife. All
no,
right, I
no,
can't keep up with all his wives.
right,
Okay.
but the one that was the first lady, okay,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah. Her.
and we know she has a very sketchy past,
Oh
right?
yeah, absolutely.
And and so when I looked at her, I didn't even recognize her when she was standing next to him, and somebody said, "That's Donald Trump's wife," and I was like, "Where?" He was like, right there. She's standing right next to him. I said, that's his wife. That's her. And they said, yeah. I said, well, I didn't recognize her with her clothes on because if you if,
You know what? I
if,
hollered. I'm tired of hollering. I want to have a voice for later this week. I think we're coming back Wednesday. By the way, guys, we're coming back. What is it? Wednesday to do trending topics. So when you're
yeah,
bringing up the people like Lori Harvey and Michael
right,
B. Jordan, we'll be talking a little bit about that. You
right,
know, we can't get off the air Nick, on Wednesday without talking about, of course, Monique and DL.
right, right, exactly.
And some of these other hot trending topics that we got to talk about. Okay,
Right.
but go ahead. You're
But
saying.
yeah, but the point is the president of the United States wife is all over the internet naked from her past life.
Hmm.
Okay.
Hmm.
Now, who is she supposed to sue? This stuff is all over Google. What she did in her past
But
life,
she
how
took
she
those pictures willingly, though. At
right.
least with her, as far as I know. I mean, she took those pictures to publish over in Europe.
Yeah,
She
wherever
she
she's
took
from.
those. She's Europe. I mean, it's a portion of Europe, a country in
Mm,
Europe. Okay, she took those pictures to be paid. That's what she did
mm,
for a living. So yeah,
right.
who's she gonna sue? I don't know. Nobody.
Here's the point. When
Hmm.
it's out there, it's out there. Your only legal stance in court is you have to prove that you told this person explicitly, do not publish these pictures. Now, that's hard to prove when it's your word against mine. Now, if you got something in writing where they're not supposed to publish the pictures, that's your only legal stance where you can prevail. Otherwise, it's public, it's out there for public consumption, period. So
Wow.
once you hit that send button, you're gone. You're done. Period. So these young people got to understand. Stop taking these pictures and trusting somebody you've only known 3 months to hold these pictures. They're going to let these pictures out. Period. And that goes for men and women with these
Right.
pictures.
And let's say this because I noticed you said something about young people, but you know what? There are 50, 40, 50, 60, I don't know, maybe 70-year-old people that are doing these things that because
Mm.
millennials and others have issued in this generation, and we know with technology, and I'm not blaming it on you millennials. No, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying well, with the technology, and as you guys have gotten us on Instagram, I hate it.
Mm.
Okay, I said it. I hate it. And Twitter, I'm not so sure how I'm feeling about that, but I'm over in that space too. And hey, can you believe it? I'm even on TikTok with my one little video thus far. Okay, find me on all these places and
Tick
follow
tock,
me,
tick
guys.
tock, tick tock.
I'm under the name actually Aubrey, so follow me there. But what I was saying was though, it's older people too that are doing these things, that are taking these videos, that are thinking like, okay, if you're 50 or 60 and got the body because you work out like that and you got great genetics like that, or because maybe you got a little help and maybe you went and got that BBL or whatever that thing is and got the breast lifted from the breastfeeding, whatever.
Mm.
You got that mommy makeover, and now you out here making these videos and you sending them out to your boyfriend, husband, lover, or friend. But one day down the road, that person falls out with you, or your phone or his phone gets into the wrong hands, and now
Oh
it's just
yeah.
out
Oh
there.
yeah. Oh
I
wow.
mean,
Yeah. That
I
happens
don't
too.
know. Yeah, but I
Mm.
don't know. I just don't have time. I don't have time or interest. I was just looking. It's so funny. Speaking of naked pictures, I used to model, right? I used
You
to be
got
a
some naked pictures? Put them up
I
here.
used I used to be a spokesmodel. I used to be a commercial model. And at one point, I just found these the other day. It's so funny we're talking about this, but I just found these because I actually had in my old home, I had a photograph. I wanted to do some artful photographs with where you kind of knew, but there's nothing showing. I always wanted it to be tasteful, right? And it
Right.
was. And
Mm-hmm.
I found this guy. So here in Detroit, in the Detroit metro area, there's Center for Creative Studies, and it's an art place where students go to get a 4-year degree, and there are all kinds of artists in terms of whether it's photography or paintings. But I found a photographer who was up and coming, and he did the most beautiful shots of me when my body was immaculate back in the day. And I found the slides to it, and I was just so overjoyed because I thought I had lost it in the move, right?
Mm.
And I was like, wow, I've got these pictures. What am I going to do with them? I could put them on the internet.
Right. Uh-huh.
But I would not. I would not. But the thing about it is nice because no one can ever say I'm new. Like in most of them, I have on a bottom. Um, and my breasts are bare, but my breasts are covered by my arms, so you can't see anything. It's
You,
just
me- you you
but
you
they're
messing up the
beautiful though.
game. You messing
That's
the
all
game
right.
up.
That's
You
all right. I
messing the
mean,
game up.
I don't know. I'm just not into all of that. I mean, I think that some things should be remain a secret and discreet for your husband, for your significant other. I just feel that way. I just don't feel like everything has to be, sent through my phone, has to be
Mm,
sent on Snapchat or
right.
Twitter or Instagram. But everybody else, knock yourself out. Knock yourself out.
Well,
Because I'm a voyeur for sure. I will be watching and looking,
well,
but I just won't be doing.
if you got any naked pictures, you know my phone number. Send them.
you you so silly. Don't make me say nothing on the air that I'm gonna regret. And I think my phone is going off, so this
Uh
could be your
oh.
girl, this could be your woman calling me now. He said it, I didn't. He said it, I didn't.
Oh my goodness
Oh, okay.
gracious.
We gonna have to wrap this up. I see who that really is calling in real life. Okay, so
Okay.
we, we, we
I
need
got
to wrap this up.
I got one more thing to
Holler,
say. I got one more
holler.
thing about
You can say
Shorty.
a few more things.
I got one more thing about Shorty.
What is it about
You
Shorty?
funny. Oh, you funny.
You
Um,
funny.
the thing is when her and Kenny showed up in the last episode, they showed up separate. Everybody else came together. Her and Kenny arrived separately, right? And
Oh
they weren't
yes, right. Yeah, during the
and
therapy session, yes.
right, and they weren't there but a hot minute because they said the relationship is over. She said Kenny said some hurtful things, blah blah blah, and Kenny said, "Thank you, doctor, for everything you did. I'm out of here." Right? Kenny
Hmm.
left first.
Right.
So when Shorty said what she said, "Okay, well, I'm going to leave." But then if you pay attention, she said, "But make sure he's really gone."
Right. Yeah. Now she was very serious about
Very
that.
serious
We
about that.
joking. Yeah. Oh yeah.
So I wanted to ask you, did you hear that one? And what did you take from that?
Again, like I said, I always related to Shorty as I could see signs from her and I could see signs from him that in my mind, now this is in my mind, my observation, that there was some possibility for some abuse going on there. And whether that was, even if it's just intimidation, that what I will do, I will hit you, I will F you up. You know what I'm
Right,
saying? That,
right.
like you said, men are stronger physically than most women, and certainly, if we look at Kenny and Shorty, by far,
Yeah,
where he's
yeah,
his height and her little height, I mean, I would
right.
never have somebody around me like in my space, in my house, in my home that I'm afraid of. I just wouldn't, because
Yeah.
I've already experienced that type of
Mm,
situation, so I'm not going to ever do it again or put myself in that position. But yeah, I heard her, and I felt very sad for her, and
mm-hmm.
and also I did not like, and I don't know what was edited out, but it just did not feel like Dr. Nicole was being very empathetic, and I'm not saying sympathetic, but empathetic,
Right.
understanding, or very supportive of Shorty. Or, and I will say this, or even Kenneth, because for whatever we don't know about Kenneth, he is a person, and I also see, and I will say this, I also see where Kenneth is a very hurt and underdeveloped
Yes.
emotionally individual, and I feel sad. I feel sad, not sorry, but I feel sad for him because
Mm,
that's an emotional wound to know, because he knows at almost 40, 35, 36, he knows that he is underdeveloped when he looks around at men like Otis and men like Alfonso, who are thriving in life, who are successful, who are able to buy vehicles and able to buy homes.
right.
He knows that he's underdeveloped.
Yeah. Yeah. And they actually Alfonso actually told him, when you got your stuff together, a woman can't tell you nothing. So they know, Alfonso and Otis knew that Kenneth had to step his game up. So
And
they try to.
for two men to have known you less than 2 months, to know that about you, how sad is that? I mean, if you're 19 years old, 20, 21, 22, 23, just getting yourself together, your life together, not a big deal, because that's kind
Right.
of typically where those people in those age brackets are, from
Right.
say 17 to 23. You're kind of getting it together. You're going to college. You're going to a skilled trade school. You're going
Mm.
to getting a
The
certification.
the
You're
military.
developing. You're going to the military. You're doing a
Mm.
whole bunch of different things. These are the years, these 20s, but you're in your 30s now, dear,
Mm.
and you
Hmm.
have not figured it out yet.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
becomes very, very sad and debilitating. But your major skill, and you pointed out, is something that it's a skill. So that meant that he's taken time to develop it,
Yeah.
is working on weak women. You work on weak women and you prey on them and you
Mm-hmm.
move in with them. And for 4, 5, 6 years, you live with them until they finally get so tired of you. They take you on a national, international TV show and call you out as a hobo and as a bum.
Yeah.
And then you find the next one.
That's it. And that's it. And he
And,
find the next one, and Shorty
mhm.
will find, and Shorty will
And
find the
Shorty
next
may
one.
find the next one. You're right. You're right. And or and I was about to say, or you hit Alex and Aubrey up for $350 for an interview. Alex, you go cash app him the money. He said he got a cash app. I didn't get the information from him, but I could go back in his DM and get it if you want to
I'm
send it
I'm
to
a,
him.
I'm a cash
Or
up.
better yet, I tell you what, cash app it to me and I'll forward it to him, guys. Wink, wink.
How about I DM him a picture of my foot and somebody's behind?
I hollered. I hollered. Kenny, you can't play us.
Oh
We
God.
we might have been born at night, but we wasn't born last night, honey. And on that note, and you want to tell the folks because they've been asking about you, so I want you to explain to them for
Oh
yourself in
wow.
your own words that you are going off to do things. It was always our plan and your plan. You said you would help me out with this channel. You've
Mm-hmm.
also got a podcast that you're working on developing, creating for yourself. So, did you want to talk to the people about that before we sign off, real quick?
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with me and Aubrey. Okay, this was something we discussed way back in November, that I was going to be a
October,
man.
actually,
October, yeah,
October.
October, really, right? That I was going to be a man of my word and get her to a certain level, help her get to a successful podcast and do that kind of thing. And then I was eventually going to branch off and get a podcast of my own. And then I just purchased a home that's been taking up a lot of my time. I have an offer for to write a screenplay, so I'm negotiating that deal. Also, me and my sister Sabrina, who's in the chat, we're going to also develop a podcast as well. So I got a lot of different things going on. Plus, I'm raising an 11-year-old daughter who's going to be 12 tomorrow.
Yes, my
So,
baby.
so
And don't forget my cash app to her.
huh?
And
Oh,
I said, don't forget my cash app.
you sure you sent it to me because it might have went to Kenny.
Mm-mm, no, no. I know the difference.
Oh my goodness! But that's what's been going on with me, guys. So me and Aubrey, we're fine. And she's also going to be doing some different ventures as well. So this is what this is about. This is about networking, love, helping one another, being there for one another. That's what this is. So there's nothing wrong.
Right. And I just wanted to get that clarified. I wanted you to state that because some people had asked me over on IG, which I said I'm gonna let him answer this in his own words. So guys, if I didn't respond, that was the reason why. If you were on IG, and Roro, I want to thank you because Roro said, hey, you know what? She said, this put the first smile on my face today. Roro, we love you. I also want to say, Lil Hurler, come back. I miss you. I wanted to acknowledge you the other night. You sent the Cash App to our, to support the station. But we were going off the air, oh no, my phone. I'm sorry, my phone had died, and by the time I charged it up, I saw it, and I guess we were off the air. But I've been looking for you all over IG, and I'm not sure if I remember, but I thought you used to be on IG, but I couldn't find you. But I wanted to acknowledge. I appreciate the Cash App. And guys, we just thank all of you for being here tonight. We thank you for supporting Actually Aubrey podcast, the He Says, She Says podcast, portion of it. And Alex will be back. He will be
Yes,
back. He'll be traveling. I think he has some things for this weekend, but he's agreed to come back even a couple of days from now on Wednesday, and we're
yes,
gonna we're gonna do trending topics, guys. So
yes,
with that
yes.
said, give me one
Thank you,
second.
Mocha Mima. Thank you, Mocha
Yeah.
Mima. Appreciate it. Everybody like, subscribe, and share, and cash app Aubrey for that coffee.
Thank you. Thank you. And actually, Aubrey, and we're on our way out, guys. Like the video. Like the video. If you're on the replay, drop some yellow hearts in for my family member. We'll talk about that a little bit more next time, and I'll acknowledge him and dedicate the show to him. Okay. Love you guys all very much, and we're on our way out.